snow, they wouldn't have the tools or the trucks to get, rid of all the snow. So it's definitely a rare occurrence.
Exactly. And as we look at our weather patterns setting up across the country, well, we've got the colder air and building snowmen in the east here, Ontario to Quebec. We are warming up as we get into the weekend, but the bigger warm up this week certainly in the prairies, Jaclyn.
Definitely, but not quite yet for our team out west. That's Mark Robinson and Mike Arsenault, who are freezing there this morning, and we will get a chance to speak with them momentarily. But cold today, warm coming. If you want to just play that, we'll see how this plays out for you. It's Arctic high pressure really gripping much of the prairies at least for another 24 hours.
Right, but then we start to get these light blues, a sign of things to come, and by the end of the week, Regina is going to be +1. So we've got the cold whisperers over here, Mike and Mark joining us on their amazing adventure. Mike, you're moving around a bit, trying to keep warm, I guess.
Do cold weather experiments, so make sure you stay tuned for that.
I look forward to that.
Okay, and not as cold as you have been in the prairies, but still this morning, -26 in Regina. There are the extreme cold warnings in place for southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba.
That's right. And then this morning, if we look a little bit further west, we do have some foggy conditions, especially some valley fog. So that cold air getting trapped in the valleys, the warmer air overrunning it. Here's what we're talking about coming up on the show with me. Rain and snow forecast right across the country. Potential storm later this week. And, of course, the anniversary of the Haiti earthquake. And he actually tweeted out a couple shots where he's actually at a higher elevation than the cloud bank. Pretty incredible stuff, and you only get a chance to see that maybe once or twice in your life. So beautiful. Regina -60. Maybe you see it more if you live out there, I suppose, but as a tourist, pretty incredible. This is incredible. Mild air pushing into the western parts of the country. Great news. So Vancouver at 7, Calgary at -5 this afternoon. That'll be a lot better. Saw some snow over the weekend with some upsloping. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about this fog too. Victoria 6 degrees this morning with the foggy conditions. Up through Fort St. John, that'd be freezing fog. -19 in Lloydminster, Medicine Hat. Those areas could also are sort of piling up against the Rocky Mountains, and we get some snow in the lee of the Rocky Mountains. So 3 centimeters fell in Edmonton, 7 for Calgary, 2 centimeters in Red Deer, and Grand Prairie got hit the hardest with about 11 centimeters of snow. All right, let's take you on a little ride here with the warm-up. So see the purples? Yeah, they are pushing further east, and there is the return of the blue color. We like the blue color because it means temperatures closer to that 0-degree mark. So Mark and Mike, that's our team who are out west. We're going to get to him, both of them, in a second here. Saskatoon, January 12th. That's where they are today. So let's bring them on the show, shall we? Good morning to both of you. I know you're cold out there. I know. I lived out in Regina, Saskatchewan for a year, and I know what those temperatures feel like. Are your nostrils frozen now, Mike?
Cold.
But you know what, guys? It did work. I just saw it. It did actually work. Maybe you didn't see it in front of your eyes, but it did work. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So we'll get to some more, what did he say, Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson experiments here on the morning show. -37 is what it feels like this morning for Regina. -26 is the base temperature. There's this afternoon's temperature. So a little warmer, but not that warm. So where does it go from here? Here's our look ahead here. A bit of snow pushing through central Saskatchewan Tuesday to Wednesday. Not a big deal, though. High pressure really is the name of the game. Watching a return of moisture for the BC coast. It'll be high elevation snow and lower altitude rain. All right, let's go here. We had a push of milder air. In fact, temperature is pretty warm today, but we have some snow, but a lot warmer than what we've seen as of late in Ontario. And get ready for the cold, because once the snow moves out of the way, we'll keep you posted on the radar. We're going to really cool down. All right, so we heard about the anniversary of the Haiti earthquake. Here is more coming up on that. Just look at that, and that kind of sums it up, right? Think about the higher elevation, colder temperatures and the snow line. I just think that's neat to see that in the vertical. Plus, it's gorgeous. I think Mark Robinson may have taken that for us. Of course, Mike Arsenault and Mark Robinson are making their way across the country. Mike has flown out to Calgary to see Mark, and now they're going to be driving back. So today they're in Saskatoon. We're going to get an update from them momentarily. Regina, good morning to you. -16. It's cold this afternoon. -20 for you in Winnipeg, but warming in Calgary at -5. Right now it's a little chilly. We're looking at about -17, and we're looking at foggy conditions also on the west coast. Centimeters in total. Red Deer less, about 2 centimeters, and of course the mountains. That's that piling up of the winds, and then we get what we call orographic uplift. We get upsloping I know it sounds all sciencey. Basically, you get snow on the eastern side of the Rocky Mountains. And that's what happened. We have this morning colder temperatures, but warmer temperatures starting to nudge in from the west. All that cold air will hand over to our friends in Ontario and into the eastern parts of the country. So we talked about Mark and Mike's journey across the country. So today, January 12th, they are in Saskatoon. And, we just talked about the mountains, Mike. But did you know that you could lose your dog in the prairies for 3 days, but you could still see him? It's the same with Mark Robinson. He's hard to track down. If you lose him, you'll still be able to see him. There you go. Good news. And your car looks happy, too. He has a smiley face on the window. All right, good. I'm glad the car started, boys. Minus 37. Temperatures like that, yeah, you do need a block heater. So good luck as you push east. It's only going to get colder and as you track back to Ontario. But we'll be with you every step of the way. So nice to have you along. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jaclyn. Here are some of the developing stories that we're watching. Rain and snow forecast right across the country, of course. We'll have those details. How about another potential storm later this week? And this being, a very sad memory, the anniversary of the Haiti earthquake, which is 2010. We'll talk about that. So we'll talk about, when the next shot of snow is. But we did see some snow overnight, some blowing snow. Of course, that was the squalls for days on end. Eastern Ontario, Kingston, Montreal into Quebec, 2 to 5 centimeters still. There's the departing low you can see down toward the bottom of my screen. And then the next big game in town is the high pressure area that brings in a lot of Arctic air. So tonight in Ontario, you're going to really notice a shift in your temperatures. It's going to be very cold. They're neat. They are really neat. All right, especially when you look at clouds like that. Stephenville, 10 to 20 centimeters. Some of the higher elevation areas in western Newfoundland, you could be seeing some heavy snow. Same with down towards Argentia and St. John's, maybe a couple centimeters. There's a look this afternoon. Snow mixed and rained down through Yarmouth. That's where that mixing line is going to be. So this is the same system that just moved through Ontario as it pushes east. But now let's pretend it's tomorrow. We're going to bump that out of the way, and high pressure really, settling in for much of eastern Canada. And then another low tracks through to the north. It's just sort of a weak clipper, almost maybe not even a clipper because it tracks fairly far to the north. Doesn't really pick up a lot of moisture in the Great Lakes. It almost looks like we're having a bit of a technical issue. It almost looks like it's paused there. But however, let's not pause this. Let's play this out for you this afternoon and watch how this blue just envelops half of my screen. That's great news, folks. That means a big warm up. We have temperatures around 0 for Grand Prairie by tomorrow evening, tomorrow afternoon, getting up to some nice minus single digits as opposed to this morning, minus 26 in Regina. Good morning to you. Good morning to you in Vancouver. You'll be at about 6 degrees, partly cloudy. And notice some foggy conditions. So this ridge that's building over the western parts of the country is kind of a stagnant air mass. All that means there's not a lot of movement with the air mass. So we get fog that can be trapped in the lower levels. So moisture or a cloud right at the base. It's not going to go anywhere until that sun sort of mixes it out throughout the later part of the morning. So glad you're with us on this Monday morning. I'm Jaclyn, and let's talk a little bit about the return of mild air. If you've been watching the show this morning, then you know that the West Coast is really going to be flooded with some Pacific mild air. That's going to warm temperatures, but the East, quite the opposite. We're going to get a drop in temperatures behind a cold front for Ontario. We are tracking a couple storms along the East Coast. We'll talk about that coming up. Beautiful. A little bit of fresh snowfall there. Additional snowfall, though. Most of this will be in eastern Ontario, about 2 to 5 centimeters as the storm departs and pushes east. Get ready for the drop in temperatures, though, behind this storm. So high pressure builds in, Arctic high pressure, and with it, temperatures feeling close to about minus mid-20s is what I'm trying to say. Minus 16 for Toronto Tuesday morning. Clear conditions, but add in that wind chill, and it is going to feel much colder. Temperatures will feel more like these ones. So imagine with the wind chill, with Tremblant, tapping into a cold wind from the north, while you'll be feeling more like minus 30 something. So East Coast, well, we could see 10 to 20 centimeters for both, the Bona Vista, the Avalon, maybe about 5 to 10, and the Burin about 10 to 20. Mixing line, though, will be down through Sydney, Nova Scotia, Halifax, and straight rain for you in Yarmouth. So that's that line where we see the separation between the snow to the north and the rain to the south. I'll look ahead for some of our cities across the east. Toronto, Tuesday, Wednesday, lots of sunshine, but cold temperatures, I mentioned. Tuesday, minus 11, clear, but then with the wind chill a lot colder. But then it does get a little bit more mild Wednesday to Thursday. We'll keep you up to date as to how the long-range forecast is going to be shaping up with Dr. Doug Gillum. He'll be coming up this afternoon. And this morning with me. Minus 16 on Tuesday morning. It's going to be cold. That's for much of Quebec. And then the Prairies, same deal for you. Overnight temperatures very chilly. Minus 20s, minus 30s. Of course, Mark Robinson and Mike Arsenault are in the Prairies. We'll get an update from them coming up. No. Oh, yeah, that looks nice. Nice way to spend a weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. Your work week will be a lot warmer, let's say out west. Anyway, we're going to see temperatures bumped up to about -5 for Calgary, -16 for you in Regina. It doesn't look so great, but the warmer air is on the way for you. By midweek, you'll be at about 0, so that's a lot better than where you were. However, that cold air will all be nudged over to the east, and areas like Ottawa, Montreal, the East Coast, all getting in some very cold temperatures. So ridge in the west, trough in the east, basically dip in the jet stream in the east. We'll show you a better shot of that coming up. 7 degrees for you in Vancouver this afternoon, 8 degrees for Victoria, Prince George about -5. Here's where the building ridge, you can see over here, high pressure. So dry conditions, sunny conditions, but notice the flood of blue. That's indicating temperatures by evening about minus single digits. That's a lot better than what we see. We see -30s and 40s. Look at this afternoon. Still hanging on to that cold Arctic air mass. Kenora -30, Brandon at -31, and good morning to you in Regina, Saskatchewan, -25. By the way, Saskatoon, you're going to be bumped up too to about that 0 degree mark, or just maybe slightly below. Mark Robinson and Mike Arsenault, that's where they've been. A big shift in our temperatures once this storm moves east, and it'll bring mixed precipitation, rain, and snow to Atlantic Canada. But these temperatures, you could almost add about 15 degrees on that. That's how cold it's going to be by tomorrow. Stay with us. So here at the Weather Network, we get a lot of questions about earthquakes. It's not really a weather phenomenon, but still an earth science. So how exactly does an earthquake form? Well, the first thing you need to know is that our earth is always in motion. And we have tectonic plates that are either pushing together or they're pulling apart. Let me show you what I mean. Let's go right to the center of the Atlantic Ocean. That is known as a fault line called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. And that area is 2 tectonic plates that are always pulling apart, creating new earth and also extending our ocean by 2.5 centimeters per year. Now, it's the total opposite situation with the Himalayan mountains. Those are 2 tectonic plates that are pushing together, creating some of the tallest mountains that we have on Earth. But what about small-scale earthquakes? Those happen all the time. Well, you could have 2 land masses that are sliding really quickly next to each other, or maybe a dip-slip earthquake where one side drops dramatically, causing devastation.